Hey, what's up YouTube? This is Unique.Builder coming with a Fluffal Orcust build that I've been modifying and testing over the weeks. It actually took some time to get all the cards that I was missing. It actually isn't too different except for the engines that I took out. Obviously the ban list killed one engine, so I can't really use that, and there's not enough cards in the deck for it to be consistent enough. So we'll just get in. First, any Fluffal deck, 3 dogs, your searcher. It does basically almost everything you need. If you have no monsters to go into the Orcust combo, you normal summon this and search for Fluffal Sheep, special summon Sheep, and there's your 2 monsters for Phoenix. Or if you have if you're going second, you can go into Fluffal plays, get your fusion materials and all that extra stuff that you're missing. 1 penguin. We're not looking to get too heavy on the Fluffal side of things. So 1 penguin, whenever you need it, you just search it, or you can hard draw into it. It doesn't really matter. I generally don't use the special summon effect. Really, you don't have too many Fluffals in hand to resolve that effect. So just a draw 2 discard is mainly what it's in here for. 2 Fluffal bear. So this is kind of self-explanatory. Basically, it's just there for an extra 2 copies of Toy Vendor. They can't ash it, they can't ash it because it doesn't search and add to hand. It actually sets it straight to the field. Ogre doesn't really matter for this, and if they ogre your Toy Vendor when you activate the effect, it really doesn't hurt. It actually helps more than anything. The 1 sheep, just for the extra monster, or if you need to summon one of your edge jumps from the grave, you just bounce a dog or whatever else there is on the field back to the hand and summon the edge imp. And the 1 Fluff Wings. I ran it at 2 in the beginning when I first started testing the deck again, and I didn't really like 2. For the most part, I only resolved 1 anyways, and if I needed it, I ended up searching it, so running the second copy didn't really help at all. For the edge imps, we have 3 chain. So chain searches, there's 2 targets in the deck. There's Patchwork, we run 2 Patchwork and 1 Frightful Fusion. For the most part, Patchwork is the main thing you're searching unless you already have it in hand. But it's quite useful either way. Even if you have the Fright for Fusion and the Fright for Patchwork, you can still just search the second copy for next turn or whatever. It never really hurts to get an extra card in hand. 1 Edge Imp Sabers. This is actually a free summon if you can get it into grave with any of the discard effects. There's plenty to use. For the most part, it's actually used to summon Tiger, to bait out, or to pop 2 cards if it resolves. And the last Edge Imp is 1 Cotton Eater. Basically, it's an upstart. If it doesn't get popped next turn, if you fusion summon again, it's another free draw. For the Orcust, we have 1 Skeleton, 1 Heart Pourer, 1 Orcust Nightmare, and 1 World Wand. I'm only running 1, just because if you end up opening any one of these, the combo changes a little bit with the discard effects that you have at your disposal at the moment. But for the most part, we end up running through the 3 Orcust monsters. If we have one of these in hand, that's where you would end up searching for the World Wand and using that grave effect to summon from the Banished Zone. One Destrudo. It's a free monster basically. Pay half your life, summon it from the grave or hand. There's really nothing wrong with running it. If you set up properly, then the half your life points that you paid really won't affect you that much. Obviously, unless it's in time. But with Destrudo, you can either use it as an extra monster for an extender to get your link plays off, or you can actually, there's a extra deck monster, a synchro target in the extra deck if it comes to it. For the hand traps, we run 2 Ash and 2 Ogre. We don't want them to get in the way of our plays, so just 2 and 2. Originally I was running 3 and 3, and then I was running 3 and 2, but I finally settled on just this ratio. The most generic hand traps that I have at the moment. So moving on to the spells, 3 Toy Vendor. There is no hard ones for turn effect on this card, and it does not miss timing for the grave effect. So however it gets there, it will resolve unless it's negated. And for the most part, I have yet to have this negated. So I guess people don't think it's worth it, but when you get the fusions on board, they're going to wish that they negated it. 2 First Burial Goods. So there's 2 targets in the deck. One of them is the Toy Vendors to get the grave effects for the search. The other is the field spell, the Babble, which is right here. So with Babble, if you have an Orcust, an Edge Imp, or anything you need in grave, you can Foolish Burial the Babble, send a monster from hand to grave, and actually add Babble back to hand and activate. So, multiple uses. Just 2 polymerization. We're not too heavily relying on multiple fusion summons per turn, and the game doesn't last too long for you to need more than this. 2 Patchwork, and the 1 Bright for Fusion. These are your chain targets. Patchwork, for the most part, will end up searching if you already have the chain in hand, then you would end up searching Cotton Eater. Or if you don't have chain and you don't have sabers in grave, then you would just end up searching for the sabers to get the bait effect with Tiger. And obviously the Fright Fusion is more of a late game card. Try to get some extra damage, extra monsters on board. 1 Return. I actually like running this card, at least at 1. If I feel like I need the extra draws, I'll search this out, draw 2, and it just helps. 2 Reborns. So you almost always have a link point to summon to. So Succession is basically another monster reborn. It actually helps out quite a bit if you get interrupted. You just summon it back and continue where you left off. 3 Called by the Grave, just so we don't get hand trapped. That's basically all it's there for. And the last card is actually 1 trap, so the Orcust Crescendo. It's a Omni Negate. At the same time, you can, if you don't need it and you just need to get the Orcust monster, you can discard it and actually get the search effect if you know you're going to finish the game that turn. So that's it for the main deck. For the extra, we have 1 Sheep, 1 Tiger, 1 Kraken, and 1 Sabertooth. I don't run any more than this because, again, the game really shouldn't drag on for more than 2 to 3 turns at most. Sheep is to beat over any problem monsters. Tiger, bait, or just blow up the field. Kraken, it can attack twice, so basically if your opponent has 3 monsters and you can summon Kraken, then you can target a monster, send it to grave, and attack into both the monsters that turn. The only thing is, if you send a monster, you cannot attack your opponent directly until the monsters basically reset by getting sent to grave and coming back, or any other means like that. Which, for the most part, would be Kraken and summon Sabertooth on top. So, you would fusion summon for Kraken, target the monster, send it to grave, and then you would fuse off the Kraken and any other Fluffal or Edge Imp, and you would summon your Sabertooth, Sabertooth summon Kraken back, and you have 8,000 on board right there. F.A. Dawn Dragster, this is the Destrudo target for the extra deck, just a Spell Trap Negate. 1 Dingirsu. So, I was told to run this at 2. I don't see the use. I actually ran into one of the new Dragon Link decks that actually ended up banishing the Dingirsu, and playing through the Orcust combo itself, I was actually able to recycle it and still summon it that same turn, and just set up like regular, like if he never even banished it to begin with. For the Nightmares, we run 1 of each. If you know the matchup, then you would alternate between the Cerberus and Phoenix. Mermaid summons the Orcust Nightmare. Unicorn is if you need that extra spot removal. double Galatea. So I don't actually see a need in running a third. If you manage your resources properly, the third should never come up. I have yet to need a third copy of Galatea. I've just been recycling the same one. For the most part, I only summon one, and then I would go into YuGiOh. So for the most part, I don't even summon the second one unless I don't have enough extenders to summon out so I can get the YuGiOh. But that's pretty much it. The last two monsters in the extra deck are Borreload and YuGiOh. So in the last build, in my comment section, I ended up getting a message saying that I shouldn't run YuGiOh just because I wouldn't be able to summon it since he's an Earth. But actually, if you have enough Fluffal monsters, you can actually get YuGiOh off pretty easily, actually. Dog by himself is 2 monsters. If you're able to fusion summon, that's 3. All you need is Sabers, Edge Imp Sabers Engrave, and that's your 4th. So it's actually pretty easy to get off. The one that I use the least would actually be Borreload. I haven't had it come up just yet. Maybe when I face a Sky Striker player it'll be a little bit more useful, but I highly doubt it. Alright, so for the side, we have 2 Pankratops, the free summon, the free pop. It's just a great card. I didn't run it at 3 just because after my turn 1, it's not the easiest thing to summon, because for the most part I'm going to end up having more monsters than the opponent. So just 2 is what I ran. I did run 3 Chaos Hunter. So this is a side card that I didn't see too many people running. It actually is a free summon just with a discard. We have plenty of effects in Grave, so discarding isn't a problem. It's a 2500 body, level 7, and it actually stops your opponent from being able to banish. So if you face an Orcust mirror, or if you face off against Thunder, this actually does help a little bit, especially against the Orcust, not letting them get their plays off. So for the spell trap removal, double Cyclone and double Twister, along with 3 reboots. This is for any back row heavy deck, whatever it might be in your area. But these are the ones that I chose to run. Reboot actually did help against certain matchups. Cyclone, it almost cost me the game in time, but I ended up pulling through just with the amount of damage that Fluffals were able to put on. And the last 3 cards in the side are actually 3 Solemns. The 1 Judgment and double Strike. There actually came a match where 2 of my hand traps, I didn't really see them worth it, so I ended up siding out the couple of hand traps for the double Strike. And they ended up saving me. The Judgment I have yet to use, but it's there in case a threatening spell trap is active. You can negate it, or a problematic link summon, anything like that. But that's it for the deck. Let me know what you think in the comments. Any future suggestions on a build or an update that you want to see, just leave it in the comments. I'll try to take a look at it, try to get it worked on and finished whenever I have the time to get it done. But that's pretty much it. So let me know what you think. I'll see you in the next video.